Welcome, teachers. Welcome, boys and girls. It's good to be back together in chapel, isn't it? Now, you notice we're set up for chapel, have our table the way we normally do, and what we talked about last week, our harvest table for Thanksgiving back here. Those good things, remember we talked about that? About sowing and reaping, about planting just a few seeds and getting a small crop, or being generous and getting much, about how God blesses us and provides for us abundantly. And Thanksgiving reminds us of that. Now, part of Thanksgiving that might not be up here, at least for a lot of families, is turkey. Anybody in your family have turkey for Thanksgiving? I know not everybody likes it, but it's kind of a tradition. Another tradition is making a handprint turkey. And so I'm going to do that right now. I brought a marker with me, and I brought a piece of paper, and I'm going to make a handprint turkey. You've done this before, haven't you? It's always kind of a fun thing to do this time of year. Make that handprint turkey. There's mine. Now, that's a pretty simple one, but sometimes we like to make them a little fancier and maybe color the feathers a little bit. And so I've got a bunch of markers here. I'm gonna color the feathers. And I'm remembering to put the lids back on the markers, because boy, does that frustrate some people if you don't put the lid back on the markers. Always put the cap back. So let's see here. See how my turkey came out. Let's see. What do you think? Pretty good, isn't it? Well, turkey is a good part of Thanksgiving, but we also want to remember God, how God has taken care of us. That's what we talked about last week when we talked about all the stuff on this table, didn't we? About God taking care of us. That just like the farmer plants in the spring so he can harvest in the fall, so he can eat in the winter, God finds all sorts of ways to take care of us. A couple weeks ago, we talked about carving a Jesus lantern, just like in that big pumpkin that I have back here. And we talked about how we shouldn't be afraid because God is with us. Well, the fact that God's with us is another reason to celebrate Thanksgiving. Matter of fact, in this book, my Bible, I have a verse in the New Testament, in the book of Hebrews, chapter 13, that talks about God being with us. It says, I will never leave you. That's in Hebrews chapter 13, verse 15. I will never leave you. God promises that he won't leave us. Jesus, when we accept him into our hearts, will never leave us. Jesus will always be with us. So even if our Thanksgiving doesn't seem like the best, maybe there's not a whole lot of harvest on the table, and maybe there's not a whole lot of food, or the people that we're used to celebrating with aren't able to be with us, Jesus is always with us. Now, sometimes when people make their little handprint turkey, maybe in the feather, they write things that they're thankful for. Perhaps you've done that, or maybe somebody in your family has done that and you've seen it. And I'm going to do that right now myself. I'm going to take some of those same markers, and I'm going to write in the finger feathers of my turkey what I might be thankful for. And I'm writing with the same color that I outlined each one with. Oop, almost used the wrong marker there. I put a big heart in the middle of my turkey, and I wrote this simple sentence: Jesus will never leave me. I mean, that's something to be thankful for. Jesus will never leave me. Well, my turkey reminds me of God's promise to never leave. Jesus will never leave me. Will you pray with me? Dear God, thank you for this day. Thank you for our friend Jesus. Thank you for taking care of me. Thank you for your promise never to leave me. Amen. Great job, boys and girls. Thanks for being with me. Happy Thanksgiving.